This comparative study will discuss the concept of good versus evil in action-adventure films of the superhero genre. Good versus evil is a primary concept in most, if not all, superhero action-adventure films. Superhero films examine the choices and actions made by one or multiple superheroes, and how these choices cause them to grow and develop. Films of the superhero genre often fall into the genre of action-adventure films. Action-adventure films present characters that get involved in dangerous occupations, activities, and adventures. The two action-adventure films that will be discussed in this comparative study are Iron Man from 2008 and Superman 2 from 1981. Good versus evil in action-adventure films is often defined by using the evil as an antagonist to our good, who is the protagonist in each film. Because of this use of good and evil, the evil is often a reflection of our good protagonist. In the film Iron Man, our protagonist is Tony Stark and our antagonist is Obadiah Stane. In Superman 2, our protagonist is Clark Kent and our antagonist is General Zod. Both of these movies share many qualities that define a superhero action-adventure film. Iron Man is a 2-hour and 6-minute Hollywood blockbuster directed by Jon Favreau that deals with the origin of the hero Iron Man. Throughout this film, we experience the character growth of Tony Stark. This film also deals with some cultural divisions that were experienced during the time of filming in 2007. The events of 9/11 happened just a few years prior to the release of this film, so it is not surprising that the secondary antagonists in this film are a fictional group of Middle Eastern terrorists known as the Ten Rings. The Ten Rings are hired by Obadiah Stane to kidnap and hold Tony Stark hostage. In this film, our protagonist is very cunning and resourceful, a quality that is found in any action film's protagonist. Tony is able to design a technological suit of armor from scrap metal and missiles and other weapons, in which he is able to escape hostage by dozens of terrorists. Obadiah Stane, in many ways, is a direct reflection of Tony Stark. Obadiah and Tony both head different parts of Stark Industries, a company that designs weapons and technology. Tony being the CEO, and Obadiah being in charge of the exports of the manufactured technology. Both Tony and Obadiah are egotistical characters at the start of the film, where they are in it for the money and for quote-unquote peace. Once Obadiah recovers the remains of the Iron Man Mark I armor, he uses the remains to build his own version of the Iron Man armor, known as the Ironmonger. This suit gives him similar abilities to Tony Stark's Iron Man suit. Superman 2 is a 1-hour and 56-minute film that also became a Hollywood success. The Richard Donner cut was a re-edited director's cut of the original 1981 movie. This re-released movie was directed by both Richard Lester and Richard Donner. Superman 2 is a sequel to Superman the movie from 1978 that continues the journey of Clark Kent as Superman. Here we see Clark struggle to balance his life as both Superman and Clark Kent. After giving the decision some thought, we see Superman decide to remove his powers and become a human. This is so he could spend his time being Clark Kent. That way he could have a relationship with Lois Lane. During this time, Zod arrives on Earth with secondary antagonists in Ursa and Non. These three characters are also reflections to Superman. They all come from the same planet, Krypton, and because of the Earth's yellow sun, they all have the same powers. Zod is a great example of an antagonist for a film in this genre. Not only does Zod have the same abilities as Superman, but their motives are also in direct opposition to one another. Zod's motive is to rule over the Earth and create a new Krypton, since he sees humans as an inferior and fragile species, while Superman believes that humans are not inferior, but equal to Kryptonians. This movie also has some religious allusions with its use of Superman. Superman is seen as an alien messiah. He is the one that every human in this film universe looks up to, and he sets an example for everyone else. Superman is also the one that everyone counts on to save them from any and all kinds of danger. Both of these films share many qualities with films of the action-adventure genre. Both of these movies take place in fictional worlds and in the year that they were released. Iron Man mostly takes place in a fictional version of Malibu, California during the year 2008, and Superman 2 mainly takes place in the fictional city of Metropolis during the year 1981. Both of these films have realistic and believable characters, even though they exist in a fictional world. In Iron Man, Tony Stark is an egotistical CEO of a multi-billion-dollar technology company, similar to someone like Bill Gates and Elon Musk. Obadiah Stane is similar to money and power-hungry businessmen that want to gain more properties to add to their business empire. This is why he wants Tony out of the way, so he could own all of Stark Industries' assets. In Superman 2, Clark Kent is very relatable to the average person. He is very unassuming, and also clumsy, for he constantly walks into things, or is knocking something over. He also acts as a very insecure person, and someone who is unsure of himself, as he sometimes talks with a stutter. Zod shares some qualities with dictators from the past, where he wants to be in total control over the world. This is similar to how dictators like Stalin and Mussolini had totalitarian control over their respective countries. Both Tony Stark and Superman find themselves in mortal danger due to actions made by Obadiah Stane and General Zod, respectively. This time of mortal danger is where the theme of good versus evil is in full swing. This is where our hero needs to find a way to overcome the evil. After Tony tells Obadiah that he will not give him an arc reactor, the machine that can run all of Stark Industries, the Iron Man armor, and keep shrapnel from entering Tony's heart, Obadiah attempts to create one himself and fails. He then goes to Tony's mansion to take the reactor out of Tony's chest and succeeds. Tony is forced to crawl down to his basement and grab another arc reactor to place in his chest to prevent himself from dying. In the climax of Superman 2, Superman is facing off against General Zod, Ursa, and Non. After a mild-length fight, Superman leaves, since he realizes that he needed a new plan and that there would be no way that he could fight the three of them and succeed. If he had not done this, Zod would have defeated him and possibly have killed him. Both of these films follow the narrative of an action-adventure film: equilibrium, disruption, recognition of disruption, attempts to repair disruption, and the return to equilibrium. Both films start with the hero in equilibrium and living their everyday lives, since the evil has not arrived to become an antagonist to our protagonist. Disruption happens the first time the evil arrives in the film. For Iron Man, it is when Tony is kidnapped by the 10 Rings. And for Superman 2, it is when Zod arrives on the moon and kills a group of astronauts. Recognition of disruption happens when the hero becomes aware of the evil. In Iron Man, this is when Tony, as Iron Man, returns to the Middle East to rescue citizens who are at the mercy of the 10 Rings. In Superman 2, it is when Clark becomes aware of Zod and his cohorts attacking the military. Repair of disruption is the final battle between good and evil, in which good is triumphant over evil. And lastly, the return to equilibrium is when the hero can return to his or her normal life. This is the relationship between good and evil in superhero action-adventure films.